Welcome to the first episode of Physician Heal Thyself, the podcast. And I want to start off by first introducing myself. I'm Dr. Ana Lara. I'm a naturopathic doctor, founder and owner of Raíces Naturopathic Medical Center. This podcast came as an inspiration because of my patients. Many of them oftentimes ask me one question, and that question is, why is this information not being talked about? Why don't we learn about it earlier on in life? We are not just a body, we are spirit and soul. It's time to integrate medicine and spirituality into our healing. Let's get started. Welcome back to Physician Heal Thyself, the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ana Lara. And guess what, folks? This is our 100th episode of Physician Heal Thyself, the podcast. I can't believe how fast time goes. And I just want to send out a special shout out to Bill, who is the owner and amazing producer at PodWorks studio, including Gio, who is the editor. Shout out to Nicole Angus. She's the amazing creative work behind my social media and other marketing efforts. And of course, the wonderful Jeffrey Lynn at Blaze Experts, who runs my website, does some marketing. She's the one who created this beautiful logo here to this podcast, and also a Spanish podcast they started a couple months ago called Raíces de Sanación, el podcast. So I just want to thank all the viewers who've been supporting me, watching on all the platforms on YouTube and Apple Podcasts and Spotify and any other channel that I'm on. I want to thank you for supporting me. And I want to send a special shout out to my patients for being supportive and always giving me ideas on topics that you want to learn more about. And I love to hear when you guys share with me the impact that it's doing in your life. So I just want to say thank you for your support and for trusting me, right? For trusting me and listening to me. Sometimes I re-listen to my episodes and I'm like, I sound too calm. Maybe I need to do some guided meditation videos instead. So, but this is who I am. You know, I can have a calm voice and I can be fiery up and excited. It's just the extreme sides of doing this. You know, I never thought of having a podcast or doing anything that's visual, speaking, things like that. And I remember when I was going through medical school, my daughter, who's now 16, Jaslyn, shout out to Jaslyn, she would get the iPad and she would record herself and say she was going to start a YouTube channel and be an influencer and a YouTuber. And so she would tell me, Mama, you should start a YouTube and be a YouTuber. And I was like, no, not for me. And here we are. So sometimes children speak things into existence for us too. So I want to thank my family for supporting me on the nights that I stay up creating the content for you. And I pray and always hope that the information that reaches your ears, your eyes, it's something that's impacting your life. So I'm excited for another year of creating more content. And if you have ideas, reach out. Let me know what you would love to hear. So I am really just very grateful to the people who have supported this work, because I am busy, very busy, and there's a lot always, there's many demands. And so it's really nice to have a team of individuals who help me to, record, edit, and postings up for me, because I would not post, I would not edit, I would fall behind. And so, hey, if you wanted to start a podcast, I would reach out to Bill at PodWorks studio, because I could not have done it without this man's help. Really, he's created an amazing structure for a business here. Everything's very structured, organized, and he works with busy people, right? Because busy people don't have time to learn a new skill, take the time to edit, get all the equipment, figure everything out. It seems like it would be cost effective, but it's not. I interviewed many different studios before I decided on choosing one. And I was grateful that this was God sent. This is, Bill is someone who, he's very creative. His team is very creative, and they help you align your messaging and so forth. So just reach out. I'll put all these links to these individuals if you want to know more about working with either the marketing or the social media or the podcast studio, right? So, hey, we're going to get started. I'm just excited. I can't believe it's 100 episodes because sometimes you just want to throw in the towel and give up, right? But I'm going to tell you who keeps me going. It's been my patients. It's been my viewers. Yeah, when you guys, I'm not going to cry. When you guys tell me the impact maybe I am going to cry. When you tell me the impact that it's had on your life, and how it's improved maybe your mindset, or just watching me on here and you're like, if she can do it, I can do it, that I inspire you in little ways, in all the ways. I love that because that's what I want. I want to inspire people to feel physically better, mentally, emotionally, spiritually better, and to live out their life, right? Like, you're here, live it, do what you want to do. What do you desire? Don't be afraid to take those leaps of change and do them in faith. So if it is starting a podcast, if it's starting a business, whatever it is, like, I really want to encourage you and support you to do that. So that's what keeps me going and recording these podcasts, because it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but doing it through PodWorks studio, it's possible. So in this episode, I want to talk about something that I always get a lot of people who ask me, and it's, how do I lose weight the right way? There's all these gimmicks, right? There's all these I'm not going to say names, but all these injections that you could do to lose weight, all of these things. And so I really want to talk about what are some things that provide you a guide of how to sustain a healthy weight loss. Because where we can do some of these very trendy, fast ways to lose weight, we want to make sure that we're losing weight in a safe way. We don't want to risk our health just to be skinny. And I always tell my patients, be very intentional about what you're saying. You mean you want to lose fat. You don't want to lose weight. You want to lose fat because you don't want to lose your muscle mass. Muscle mass is very important. It keeps us young and strong. And so, we want to make sure we build and maintain and build more muscle, not lose that. We want to lose the fat. So this episode is one of the most requested topics, believe it or not. I get every call through my office. How can I lose weight? How can I lose weight? And so I'm like, here's what we're going to do. It's not easy for everyone, okay? Especially people who have hormone imbalances, menopausal women, other medical issues. So this is a general conversation on losing weight. So let's get started. So we're not looking at losing the weight fast or extreme or deprive yourself because of these trends, right? We want to align yourself, your body's metabolism. Listen, your own body has a unique metabolism, so you cannot compare yourself to someone else. So we need to find out what is your body's metabolism, your hormones, and what is your long-term health, goals and vision. Why do you want to lose the weight? What is it? So in this first segment, let's talk about why most weight loss approaches fail. And so some of these things are hard truths, but I have to hold myself accountable to the reality of how I'm living and how I'm eating, stress, sleep, workout routines, all of that. And most people are not failing at weight loss, are not failing at the weight loss. It's their approach to how they're going about that's what's failing. So it's your approach, and that's what's not working. And so whether it's a crash diet, over exercising, believe it or not, some people, especially women, if they're over exercising, it creates a stress response. And we're going to talk about that. We don't want to stimulate a cortisol release because that's going to inhibit your ability to lose weight. So skipping meals is not going to help us. And, if we rely on willpower alone and ignore other critical factors, that's not going to set us up for success. So, Your body is not a calculator. It is a biochemical system. So we need to understand what that system is. Your metabolism, your hormones, your gut health, stress levels, toxin load, all influence whether your body will burn fat or store fat, or resist the change altogether. And so this is why I find people tell me, I'm eating well, I'm exercising 2 or 3 times a week, but I'm still not losing weight. Why? And so there's something out of balance, and we got to figure out what that is. So the foundation that we got to look at is the metabolism and hormone balance. So before we look at the diet and all of that, which is important, we got to look at your hormone panel, right? So those key hormones for women, men, it's really important to look at testosterone, all the different estradiol, estrone. If you have higher levels of estrone, you're going to get a lot of belly weight. So a lot of abdominal fat will be the result. Progesterone levels for women, a couple of other of the sex hormones. But you want to look at also like insulin, because if you're not regulating blood sugars well and there's an insulin resistance, you're going to be storing fat. That glucose that's circulating in your body that's not being utilized by the muscles and the cells, it's going to get stored as fat. So we need to look at insulin, fasting numbers in the morning. I also like to look at C-peptide. It is the precursor to making insulin in the pancreas. We want to look at cortisol levels. This is your stress hormone. So this is going to promote fat retention. And so if there's a lot of stress and your cortisol is high, you're going to have a hard time losing the fat. And then I also like to look at leptin levels. Like this is what controls your hunger and your appetite. So if there's a leptin resistance, you will also have a hard time burning the fat and then retaining fat, right? And of course, we can't forget about the thyroid. That thyroid is really important, right? It's what helps regulate your metabolic rate. So you want to do a full panel with total T3, total T4, reverse T3, and then also check to see if there's any autoimmune conditions there. So looking at the antibodies. So doing a full thyroid and hormone, insulin, cortisol, leptin test to see are any of these things out of balance that could be affecting my ability to lose weight. And most of the time I do find some things out of range there, right? And so then we can regulate with diet and then supplements and herbs. A lot of natural goodies that we can do to help regulate blood sugars, cortisol, thyroid, leptin, and the hormones. So if insulin is constantly elevated, like I said, fat loss is going to be nearly impossible. But so is cortisol. If cortisol's high, your body's like trying to preserve and keep what it has, so you're going to be storing more fat, especially around the midsection, which is what everybody wants to lose. So that's hormone. We call it hormone belly. Cortisol belly, estrogen belly is usually what causes that. So the goal is not to just eat less food. It's to eat in a way that is going to restore balance back to you, right? So when we look at the nutritional part of this, you have to eat for your body type, not eat against it. And so what works for one person might not work for another. I get this a lot, so we're going to talk about intermittent fasting. I don't, the way I see people intermittent fasting, I'm not a fan of, because they're waking up, they're not having anything in the morning. They're probably not eating, definitely after 12, sometimes around 1 and 2 p.m. I don't think that works for many people. And here's why. If you work, which most people do, you have a busy lifestyle, which most people do, food is your source of energy. And so if you're operating in the day and you don't have food in your system, and you're doing this intermittent fasting consistently, like every day for weeks and months, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up developing insulin resistance. You're going to end up having hormone imbalances, thyroid imbalances, and then even developing diabetes. I've seen this in people, and so the better thing to do than to avoiding it in the morning is to start to have breakfast in the morning. So when we wake up, let's assume that you wake up at 6 in the morning and you naturally wake up. Cortisol rises, and cortisol is a release of energy, provides us energy to wake up. So that's like our internal alarm clock. So we wake up and we're ready to go, and we're not hungry. If you notice, you're not hungry right away when you get up in the morning. That's normal because the cortisol released glucose as a form of energy, and it's going to suppress your appetite. But it's only for about an hour to 2 hours. So usually after an hour or two, then the person is hungry. Now, if you're like, that's not true, I'm never hungry in the morning, it's probably because you never eat in the morning. So your body adapted to that behavioral pattern. Last episode, we talked about behavioral patterns. This is what I'm going to talk about again, because the brain adapted to you not having breakfast and lunch. It adapted to whatever you're doing consistently. So now we have to trick the body, the brain. We have to bypass that and say, we're going to break. So you wake up at 6. I'm going to eat at 8 a.m. I have some breakfast, some protein, some veggies. If you're going to have your carbs, have it at that time of the day, because you're going to burn through those carbohydrates. Carbs, proteins, healthy fats are all sources of energy that your body utilizes it. How your body utilizes it is different. Carbs are instant energy. Proteins and fats, they are more efficient use of energy. So it's going to keep you fuller for a longer time. So you're not going to be hungry for 3 to 4 hours. And it's going to stabilize your blood sugars, right? So the proteins stabilize the blood sugars, and it's not going to impact spiking blood sugars, but it's still giving you energy. And so you want to make sure you have protein, the healthy fats, some good complex carbohydrates that have a good amount of fiber in there. Cut out those refined sugars. So you have your breakfast, you have your lunch 4 hours after, you have dinner. Now, I know sometimes this is tricky because you should have between 5 and 6 p.m., you should have your last meal. But if you're not getting home till after that time, then just be mindful of that, of when is your last meal, and stop eating after that. So usually 5 to 6 p.m., if you have your last meal, your dinner, make it more protein and fat, less carbohydrates, because you're getting ready to go to bed, unless you go work out afterwards, and that's okay because you're going to burn off those carbohydrates. They're not going to get stored as fat later on. So then say your last meal is 5 p.m. From 5 p.m. till the next day at 8 a.m. when you break the fast, that is 15 hours of fasting. Now you could play with these times too. But in this example, your last meal being at 5 p.m. to the next meal at 8, it's a 15-hour fasting window. That's when you fast. It makes sense that when you're sleeping, you're fasting. You're not eating. You're preserving. You don't need the energy because the body's preserving energy so that you can, while you sleep, it's regenerating. So we don't need to throw extra calories past your dinner time because your body's not going to use it. It's just going to get stored. So it makes more sense that you start your day with fueling your tank, right? And not deprive yourself of food till 12, 1, and 2 p.m. And instead, let's cut the time of the day that we're going to cut, when we're going to stop eating past that time, to end it earlier, right? So that you're not eating late at night. And if you tell me, well, Dr. Laura, but sometimes I get hungry, in the evening, I get the munchies or whatever, then I'm gonna encourage you to take a good look at your diet, because chances are you did not have enough protein earlier in your day, right? You didn't have enough protein. That's why at night, you're at the cellular level, you are hungry. So then your body's telling you to eat something. And it's almost like clockwork that the food that we turn to are the simple carbs. It's the carbs. And so that's the one thing we shouldn't be eating at night. So restrict your carbs at dinner time. Don't eat anything after that. And if you are going to eat something, let it be a source of protein. So lean protein so that it fills you up, but it's not very heavy. Don't eat a steak. That's too much. It's too heavy, you won't sleep well. And that's the other part is like your sleep, right? You have to be able to sleep well, because we are using energy, and you are able to lose weight faster that way too. So back to the diet. So the nutrition, you want to stabilize those blood sugars by eating the protein and fiber and the healthy complex carbs. You want to support your metabolism. And so not eating doesn't help, because when we don't eat and we go through long periods of time without eating and you're not in a sleep state, your body is saying we're in starvation mode. So we're going to preserve, we're going to hold on to the food that you do eat, so that if you don't eat later, we have some energy stored up, and it's storing it up as fat. And so it's better to rewire your brain, your behavior pattern, move your meals up earlier in the day with a good amount of protein, 25 to 35 grams of protein each meal. You can supplement in between, like a snack in between meals as well, with protein. So you want to make sure those meals are balanced. I do believe that certain foods for certain people are a no. And so you got to find out what foods don't help you lose weight. I have found that dairy for some people doesn't help you lose weight. Now, you might be like, oh, but I'm not lactose intolerant. No, this doesn't have to do with anything that's lactose intolerant. It's that it does create an inflammation in the gut, in the digestive, in all the intestines. And we have a lot of intestines. And so if those are inflamed, it's going to change the way we are absorption, right? Digestion, absorption, the way vitamins are being metabolized to their active form. And so it can create inflammation. It can make it more difficult for you to lose weight. So just cut back on ultra processed foods. Give it a break on the dairy. See what your body does. I've encouraged people to, even for skin health, I've told them, like, you know what, just cut out the dairy and the gluten for a couple of weeks. See what happens. And they're less inflamed. Their skin is better. Their gut is better. They're losing weight. It could be something that small. So just be conscious of that. Not all foods are going to serve your metabolism and can create inflammation and affect your gut health, right? So you want to improve those areas. So food is really the kind of food and how much of the food is really important on what you're consuming. Now, exercise, right? Some people are exercising, some are not. Let me tell you, if you were to restrict your diet to 45 net carbs a day, assuming that you're not like doing heavy, weightlifting, most people with 45 net carbs a day divide those evenly. In the morning, 8 a.m., you get your 15 net carbs. At noon and at dinner, 15 each meal. And then you have your proteins and your healthy fats. You're going to lose weight. I guarantee you're going to lose weight. Because what happens is that you're relying more on the protein and fats and not the carbohydrates. So it's not unusual when people go see a registered dietitian, someone who's helping them with their nutritional plan for weight loss, and they're not losing weight, and they show it to me. I'm like, you're consuming way too many carbs. For your body type, especially if you're more of an apple-shaped body type, you're not going to lose that weight. I'm just telling you right now, 100, 125 net carbs a day, yeah, it's just not going to work. And so, but when people reduce it to that 45, it's not super keto. Some of these keto diets are like 12 net carbs a day. But 45, you don't get as much of the symptoms of the headaches and cramps and stuff like that. Plus, you can supplement with magnesium to make sure magnesium, potassium, minerals, so that you're not getting leg cramps from not getting that from your nutrition. But you still get a good amount of vegetables in this modified keto. I call it a keto Mediterranean style of a program. So when it comes to exercising, it's just going to expedite the process of weight loss. And the nice thing too is that as you're doing some of the strength training, right, it's going to build muscle. So it's going to increase your metabolism by increasing the muscle mass. But also it starts to, your body, the structure of your body, it starts to give it a better form too, because what happens is we forget about our skin and weight loss. You lose the weight and then you have the skin that's loose, and it could be your neck, your face, like it starts to show up. And when we're weight training or we're exercising, it gives time for the skin, right, to and through the diet and through exercising for the skin elasticity to really tighten and go back and back. And so it's better to have a slow 1 to 2 pounds a week that you're losing, and your body, and you're working out and your body's adapting to this change, versus you do something like a semaglutide, you lose a ton of weight, and now you lost muscle in the process, and they don't look healthy. That's my problem with these injections, is people don't look healthy, and I'm concerned about it causing tumors in the thyroid, problems with the pancreas, and their skin doesn't look vital. It looks gray. There's like a gray to it. Because if this medication is meant to slow down your digestive system so you're not hungry, so you're not eating, and it encourages weight loss, that's not the way I want to eat food, guys. I want to enjoy my food still. Look, I like tacos, so I just need 2 little tacos and just a single tortilla. I don't need double tortilla, just 2 little carne asada tacos, and we're good. I don't need 10 of them. I can't eat 10 of them. My body won't let me now. I used to when I was younger, by the way. But, and if you have these other foods, you can still enjoy those foods. But if you're serious about the weight loss, get into that 45 net carb and watch how you'll go into a moderate ketosis, and that's sufficient to operate mentally and physically throughout the day. So strength training 2 to 4 times a week. If you're not working out, at least aim for 2 to start with. And you don't have to be there for 2 or 3 hours. Come up with a plan about what body part are you going to work? What are the 3, 4, 5 exercises that you're going to do? How many sets, how many reps each set? What are the exercises you're going to do? Be focused, go do the workout and get out. So 30 minutes, I could get a good back-to-back 30-minute workout and feel like it was pretty intense. And so what I tend to do is I stagger my workouts, right? I don't take a break in between one workout and the other. Maybe I'm doing bench press, and then I'm doing some arm curls, and maybe doing the deltoids. So I do them back to back, then take a minute in between and go back and do another set. So don't spend a lot of time at the gym, especially if you're just getting started. You're wanting to create a new pattern, a new habit. So just pick the days, the times, and how long you're going to be there and what you're going to do. Go focus and be focused, get in there, do the thing, and get out. Walking, I really feel like a lot of people, don't really understand the huge benefits of walking versus running or other things. I mean, if you enjoy cycling and running, great. But, as you get older, these impact activities really start to put a wear and tear on your joints, your knees, your ankles, right? Your feet, your hips, back, all of that. I used to love to run, and I'm like, yeah, I don't need to do that anymore. I want to preserve my knees. I don't want to ever have to have a surgery, right? So I rather, preserve them. Hiking is a good exercise. But just walking at a good pace where your heart rate is about 130 to 150 beats per minute, where you can still talk, but you're a little winded. So walking, the key with walking is that you have to walk at least really 40 minutes. We get into the fat burning zone after we're doing cardio over 30 minutes, but definitely into the 40 minutes. So if you walk for an hour, that would be better. You would definitely start tapping into the fat reserves and start burning fat at that point. And it's safe. You have less risk of injuring yourself, less wear and tear on your joints. And if most people can walk right now, if you have some disabilities or some limitations, start where you're at. Walk slowly, 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, and just keep increasing it until you get into the 30 minutes and the 45 minutes into an hour and so forth. But those can be really great ways to do that. Cycling is great too. I'm not a fan of cycling because I like to preserve my sacrum and my tailbone. I do. I think about these things that I never thought about when I was younger. And so I just don't like the way my body feels on a bike. But I think it's also based on your body structure. You have to know your body. My legs are a lot longer. And so sometimes it's an awkward activity. So hiking, walking, I don't do any running anymore. And the weight training are good. I used to do kickboxing for almost 5 years. Might go back to it. That's also a great activity. You want to avoid overtraining because if you do too much intense exercising, it's just too intense. It's going to raise your cortisol. And some people can really tap into releasing some norepinephrine, which is your adrenaline. And you really don't want to do that. So this is going to inhibit and it's going to stall fat loss. So it's going to inhibit it. So we don't want to do too intense. So it has to be a good moderation. And don't forget to stretch. Warm up, stretch, workout. It's really important that we preserve our flexibility. I've noticed as I've gotten older, we sit a lot, we're in the same position a lot, and our necks become stiff, our thoracic spine, our lumbar, our hips. So it's really important to be warmed up, be nice and warmed up before you go and stretch. I'm sure you can find a lot of ideas on the internet, on YouTube, on what stretching exercises you can do. So the goal here with exercise is to be consistent, not to exhaust yourself or to work out so hard the first times that you're burned out and so sore that you don't want to move. That's not what you want to do. Just be consistent for now and then build on that. Now let's talk about some supplementation to support the system. So, food is important, very important, and the exercise is important. Sometimes you do get to a point that the body does need additional support. And this is where supplementation can be very helpful. So especially if you work out and you don't want to have you want your muscles to recover faster, so help with the muscle soreness. Well, first of all, you want to make sure you're hydrating yourself well, because this is flushing some of that lactic acid that the muscles have released from working out. So the water is flushing that and getting it out of the body. But a good magnesium, I like magnesium, glycinate or citrate or combination of both. And I always like to take mine at bedtime. It just supports the stress regulation, the absorption into your muscles more effectively. So while it's supporting metabolism and the stress regulation, it helps for your muscles to recover faster too, so less soreness, right? Less tightness. And if you have muscle cramps, then you definitely need magnesium in your diet. I like to get a good omega-3 in my regimen. I take it at bedtime too with my magnesium. It reduces the inflammation, helps with the muscle soreness. Obviously, it's going to help with just inflammation systemically, right? And of course, your brain. And then I like to add curcumin, a good quality curcumin, at bedtime with these other two items, magnesium, my fish oil, my omega-3, and then curcumin at bedtime, especially if it's a day you exercise, do that. And it'll reduce the soreness that you're having post-workout. You want to make sure your vitamin D levels are good, because this is going to have a huge impact on hormone health, on insulin sensitivity, mental health, right? How energy production, our immune system. Get the vitamin D in there, but don't get too much, because I've had people over 100 in the 200s. I'm like, that's dangerous. Don't do that. You can always, if you feel like you're having some digestive issues, support that with a good probiotic. And of course, there's a lot of adaptogenic herbs that help with cortisol regulation. Ashwagandha is a good one. Normally, most people can take it at bedtime and it's okay. A few people will get stimulated, have energy with it. I don't, but some do, and so you have to do it in the daytime. So there's a lot of other things that can help with the weight loss, and if you're working out, to have strength and endurance. right, and help with the soreness. There's a product I sell in my office that I carry. It's a growth hormone support. And I really love it because when I work out, I take it an hour before I work out, and I could do heavier weight. So my strength and endurance is much better. I do have to drink a lot of water because that's the point of it. It makes you hydrate yourself more. So I don't have the muscle soreness that I normally would if I didn't take it. And then it helps also with some of the fat loss. There's a lot of formulations that we could do. L-carnitine is a great amino. You can get in capsule form or injectable form, but those have to be compounded. That L-carnitine helps to shuttle fat from the fat cells out of the fat cells, and in the liver will metabolize it, process it. And so what the benefit of this is the weight loss, because it's taking the fat out of the fat cells to get it out, but it's using it to produce energy. So people tend to have more energy with it. Now, I always disclose, if you have other imbalances that are affecting your energy production, you might not notice it, right? For my patients who are established with me, I do fat burner shots. And I know some clinics do them. It's B12, MIC, which is a combination of aminos, and then adding L-carnitine. And so some of the clinics do like 1 shot a week. I'm going to tell you, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. So the quality, the dosing, how much are you injecting in one day, and the frequency matters. And I've tested this myself. I've tested this with patients. And people have to do about 3 shots a week. So usually tell them do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We could do more. And that does seem to be a great partner with a healthy diet, the exercise. It'll expedite the process of losing fat faster without having to compromise your health, because these are natural vitamins and amino acids, just helping the fat, right, to be gone. And so, and it really depending on the individual, what's going on with their situation. There's a lot of vitamins and a lot of herbs and a combination of them that we can help. And I'll tell you this, when people start losing weight, and everyone's different, but the more weight you start to lose, you do need to do a detox. It is good to do a detox, a good herbal, not super deep, but not superficial, like a good detox that's going to cleanse out your liver first and foremost. The liver's involved in a lot of fat metabolism and sugar and so many other things. So we want to be able to help the liver detoxify, the kidneys, our colon, our gut, right? All of the intestines, our colon. Make sure that all of that is being detoxified. Our skin, our lungs detoxify. So I always pair up with something that's for all of those systems, and then an additional liver support formula to have people take this. It's an herbal tincture. They take it 4 times a day until the bottle's gone, usually lasting a little bit under 4 weeks. And so doing that every once in a while, especially if you are actively losing weight, fat, right? You need to do that, because what I find is sometimes that people end up with some neuroinflammation, some other symptoms, digestive issues, or brain symptoms, because when we lose fat, those fat cells release toxins. And so depending how much fat you're losing, which is good, we want to get rid of that, but we want to make sure your body is able to eliminate these toxins effectively, right? Because if not, then these toxins are just circulating in your blood, making it to the brain, making it to other places, and then you don't feel good. You feel, maybe you have headaches and you feel brain fog and tired mentally, or some like bogged down, and it's the toxins that need to be released. So especially if people are losing like 80 pounds, like you have to understand that your whole endocrine system just went through a whole reset of losing that much weight. So your nervous system has to adapt to this new you. And that's true for any part of the process of losing weight, whether it's losing 10 pounds or 15 or 20 or 30 pounds. Your body needs to adapt to those new changes, which is better to lose the weight in that 1 to 2 pounds a week instead of, I lost 40 pounds in a month. Great. Now your brain is really scrambling into trying to adapt to that. Your whole body really. So it's good to start with the detox. That can really expedite the fat losing, fat burning process. And then every so often, maybe every other month, every 3 months, depending on, it's an individual thing, right? Depending on the person, what they're doing. And let me tell you, I've done these before. I think they're great. There's benefits to doing the cilantro and parsley with some lemon and making a juice and doing that to detox. But that's still not strong enough to do it. And you'd have to drink a good amount of that juice a couple times, 3 to 4 times a day to really see a benefit. I know people think that this is going to help you chelate from heavy metals, and it's not strong enough to bind those toxins out. Sometimes as people are detoxifying and losing weight, I do tell them, take activated charcoal, maybe not every day for a long time, but maybe a couple times a day, a week. 3 to 4 times a week, maybe. Take it at bedtime, because the activated charcoal binds any toxins, right? And you need a lot of water to flush, but it binds toxins, pulls it out of the stool, and so it comes out of the stool. So it's sometimes good to do that. Hey, by the way, did you know that activated charcoal can help you with skin conditions? If you're having an allergic reaction or digestive issues, activated charcoal is like something that I think every home should have, along with tea tree oil, vitamin D, and many other things. But especially if you're traveling anywhere, you should have activated charcoal in your bag, because if you eat something that causes food poisoning, some bacteria, anything digestive-wise you come across, that will bind the toxin and pull it out faster, so that you're not sick for too long, right? So that's just an extra tip for you there. So what's the missing link is, like I said, this detoxification is really important part of the weight loss regimen. And so, like I said, those fat cells store toxins, and when we lose the fat, those toxins go out, which is good. We want that to happen, but we just need to make sure that we are detoxifying, removing those toxins out of the body, so it's not impacting other organs, right? And it doesn't lead you to have fatigue, brain fog. Sometimes people will find they're good with their diet, they're good with their exercise, nothing's changed. They were losing weight, and all of a sudden they hit the wall. There's a plateau, like they can't lose weight. That means it's time for a detox. You have all these toxins circulating, bogging down your organs, your liver, especially the liver. So we want to make sure that we give it a good flush, a good cleanse, so that you're able to continue to lose weight safely. So sometimes those toxins can slow down the fat loss process, and we don't want those circulating around. So detoxifying is going to reduce that toxic burden, support the liver, the kidney function, improve your metabolic efficiency, and then allow just for more of the fat loss without the stagnation. So depending how much you're losing, every other month at least, definitely once every 3 months. Yeah. And of course, when we are exercising, some of that waste we're exhaling out. So don't wear a mask if you're working out. If I see you at the gym, you're wearing a mask, I'm going to tell you, you're breathing your own junk back in, your own waste. So we're exhaling out carbon dioxide. And did you know that the one way that the metabolites of fat leave our body, people think it's through the stool or urine, but it's not, or through the sweat, and it's not. It's through our exhalation. That's right. When we exhale, we're literally, imagine just letting the fat cells, the fat metabolites go out of us. So this is why exercise is important, because what happens when you're exercising? You're breathing harder. You're inhaling oxygen, which your muscles need, right? And we need oxygen to help with the weight loss. And when we exhale, we're releasing all the metabolic waste, the carbon dioxide. But that is, I know you don't believe me? Go online and Google, what is the one way that we lose fat? How does fat leave our body? And it is through our exhalation. I know, it's crazy. When I learned that in medical school, I'm like, there's no way. So, but don't hyperventilate and start to breathe excessively without working out. But anyway, so that is, those are the ways that we lose fat. It is through our exhalation, through our sweat. So we're sweating out through our pores. Our skin is removing those toxins, right? And then our stool. Some of it is stool and not much urine, but mostly is stool. But the majority is going to be through exhalation. So this is going to support by detoxifying through exercise and like herbal detoxes. It's going to help your body to lose fat faster. How to prepare your body for weight loss. So before you aggressively try to lose weight, you got to prepare your body. So if you're not working out, don't go to the gym and kill yourself working out excessively hard, lifting heavy, because then you're just going to injure yourself and then you can't do it at all. Hydration is really, really important. Hydration. So water is going to support eliminating those toxins out of your body through the urine, through the stool, right? If you have chronic constipation, that's going to be a problem for you to lose weight. So you have to make sure that is resolved, and that's going to happen through diet and exercise. You want the liver support, like we talked about. Supporting the liver through the diet is going to consist of the green, leafy greens, your cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower and kale, things like that. You do need to reduce alcohol and processed foods because this is going to interfere. Alcohol is going to interfere with the liver function. And the liver is responsible for the metabolism of everything, including weight loss, the fat loss. So we want to make sure that we are friendly to our liver. Love your liver. And so the processed foods, like the sugary foods, right? We want to stop that. Improving digestion, like I said, if you have bloating, constipation, that can have a huge impact on weight loss, especially the constipation. And you do want to prioritize sleep. You want to make sure that you're sleeping well, because during that time of sleep, we're detoxifying and our hormones are regulating, and we're restoring, our bodies are being restored during sleep. So that's really important. And then reduce your toxic exposure. So those perfumes, those fragrances, the foods that we're eating that have chemicals, we want to make sure we minimize that. And so you want to prepare, obviously, assess your baseline weight measurement, where are your energy levels, your sleep, your digestive system, stress, where is it at? You want to stabilize your nutrition. So if you need help with this, get someone to help you, or go online and create a meal plan for yourself to lose weight. Keep that in mind, the 45 net carbs too. Regulate your hormones. So if you need to do blood tests to check your hormones, let's get it done. And then just be consistent with the exercise, supporting those detox pathways through the hydration, the liver support, nutrition. And there's always those targeted supplements, which, oh my God, I could do a whole podcast episode on that. But then people are going to think I'm treating them, and I don't want that. But there's a lot of things that can target supplementation to help with weight loss. And keep in mind, if you're trying to build muscle and lose fat, you have to focus on one or the other. What's more important is you could still do both, but what I'm saying is that you can't trick your body to do both aggressively. If you build muscle, you're going to gain muscle mass, so you can depend on your scale, which is why you want to do the measurements, right? Because the measurements are going to show you. There's other ways to check for like that's going to look at muscle mass and fat mass and bone mass and all of that. There's some really cool technologies, that apps you could do with your phone, and the scale and handles that you hold on to and do all of that, and the measurements that all the information goes into your the app on your phone. But you really want to make sure that you're doing the measurements, because sometimes the scale is going to trick you. You're going to think like you're not losing weight, but you are. You're losing fat and you're gaining muscle. So the balance is not going to reflect that, but your clothes, how your clothes fits, what your measurements are saying. And then also other people are going to take notice. They're going to be like, you look thinner, and you feel like you haven't lost weight since the last time you saw them, but they're telling you look thinner, which is a good sign. When other people notice your weight loss, that's a really good thing. And so, monitoring is important to notice if you're dropping pounds or not, or you're dropping in size or you're not, so that you can go back to the drawing board and say, okay, I need to modify my diet, or I need to modify my exercise activity. And depending on what your goal is, you can also alternate, and it's probably good to trick your body. Like, I want to lose fat, so I'm going to focus more on losing fat. I can still do some weight-bearing exercise, but my focus is going to be losing fat. And then I do that for, 2 months, and then I switch and I want to go and focus on the increasing muscle mass. And so at some point, I do tell people, like, you're not going to get on the scale. You're just going to go based off how you feel and how you look in your clothes. And if you're happy with that, but there's so many benefits to the weight loss, the exercising, the nutrition. It's not just a physical appearance. I encourage you to look at how is this affecting you mentally, right? Your cognitive health, your physical health, your energy, your sleep, even just your personality changes when you lose weight and you exercise and you're eating better. So those are also things to celebrate, not just what the scale says and how you look. It's how do you feel in your skin? Do you feel comfortable? So those are some tips. And then, of course, to sustain all of this, you just have to be consistent. And there will be times in your life that you maybe have to modify your schedule here and there, but don't be too loose on it. Don't let go of the rope, because once you let go of what you started, you'll revert back to old patterns and behaviors, right? So I hope this is helped you to get some ideas on maybe why you're not losing the weight. And I bet is that detox. I bet if you've been losing weight and now you stopped, you might need a really good detox. And if you haven't been able to lose weight despite the nutrition, and you think you have a really good a nutritional plan, and you're exercising, then it's time to do some blood work and take a look at those hormones and see what's affecting and holding you back from letting go of that fat. We don't want to lose fat, because then they say you can find what you lose. So we want to eradicate and let it go. Let it go in peace so it doesn't come back. So I hope that these are some great tips that you can take and apply to yourself. And let me know if you have any questions, and keep me posted on your weight loss journey. So thank you for listening to this 100th episode of Physician Heal Thyself. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Help us grow it so more people can learn and benefit from this educational information. And until next time, be blessed. Thank you for listening to Physician Heal Thyself, the podcast. If you like what you've heard, please like, share, and subscribe. Help this message reach more people who may need to hear it. Leave your comments. I want to know what you think. If you're interested in learning more about Raices, visit our website at raicesndmedcenter.com. Until next time, be blessed.